now, the lawyer who made that appeal to the jury, Dalia Dippolito's defense attorney, and a face that you know well here on Happening Now, who often joins us on legal panels and the like, Brian Claypool. Brian, it's great to know that you're actually a practicing attorney. We knew it all along, but we see you in big cases. So congratulations with this, because it was a truly fascinating case to watch play out, and we watched it really every day. You know, when you just take a step back, and I know it's only been about 24 hours. Why do you think the jury could not reach a verdict in this case?
Jenna, thanks for having me, by the way. Our country is really divided right now about law enforcement. You've seen all the killings of unarmed men the past 2 years. And believe it or not, Jenna, in this case, the jury voted 3 to convict and 3 not guilty. It was 3-3. That is exactly how our country feels right now about law enforcement. We are in a divided country, and the argument we made in this case resonated, and that is the case was about one thing: an abuse of power. Police officers and a police department that were predatory and used my client, Dalia Dippolito, as a pawn to generate good TV. And that is not acceptable in our country.
Okay, let's go a little bit further on that, because we heard the tape. Just so our viewers know, there was an operation essentially set up to catch Dalia Dippolito in the act. And one of her boyfriends, she was married, but one of her boyfriends went to police and said, I think that my girlfriend wants to kill her husband. That's what started all of this.
Right.
I know that was part of the case that you can talk a little bit more about. But she's heard on one of these tapes, Brian, saying that she's 5,000% sure that she wants her husband dead. So with that sort of damning evidence for the prosecution, you know, how were you able to overcome that?
Right, great question. The reason why, there are a couple game changers in this trial, Jenna. And the first one is that I argued to the jury that those tapes, those damaging tapes that they saw 3 times in this case, and then the audio of the phone calls between the confidential informant and Dalia Dippolito were contaminated, that they were in effect fruit of the poisonous tree. They were a result of a police department that lied and cheated and destroyed evidence to lure Dalia Dippolito into those cars that you saw to create videotape. So I had to confront the videos, Jenna, which I did, but I also at the same time said, you can't rely on this. It's not credible, reliable evidence. And I really believe that argument resonated. We had 3 jurors in our camp.
Sure.
That proves our point.
So, but the police department could say, listen, we were trying to get someone dangerous off the street. That's why we were doing all this work. I mean, essentially that's what the prosecution was saying. This is someone that was dangerous, and we were just trying to make sure that we knew what she was going to do.
You're asking all the right questions, because this was a daunting task. I mean, we were on the half-yard line in this case trying to get to a touchdown. Now we're on the 50-yard line with a hung jury, and we're trying to get into the end zone in this 3rd trial. But let me get back to your question. The reason why we were able to make this argument and try to diffuse those videotapes was one reason. That was the initial phone call made by the confidential informant, Mohammed Shahade. His first phone call, Jenna, to the police department indicated a domestic abuse situation, that Dalia Dippolito was being beaten by her husband, and that she said, quote, this is a quote, that either she wanted to be dead or he might be dead. That's important because this police department never investigated the domestic abuse aspect. Instead, they put a 72-hour window. That was an important fact for the jury. I hammered that in closing. 72 hours they had to get this case investigated. Why? Because they had a 72-hour window to get this on the filming with the cops TV show that was there.
Wow. Well, I would, quite frankly, if I ever needed a defense attorney, Brian, I mean, you're already, you're making a good case to be one. I have to say that. I mean, your arguments are very clear. It's a very interesting case about the tension between civil rights and civil liberties and the choices that our law enforcement make as well. I just want to ask you this finally. You know, it looks like this is going to a 3rd trial, but you can file a motion to prevent that from happening. Are you going to let this go to a 3rd trial, or are you going to appeal to a judge to say, listen, there's been 2 cases, this is where we're ending up, why go forward?
Yeah, before I answer that, Jenna, one more quick point I think your viewers would be interested in hearing is we had a jury instruction in this case that said reasonable doubt can be proven in this case with a lack of evidence. So I argued in the case that we were missing so many recordings of phone calls, and we were missing that important encounter
Right, the
at
alleged
this
missing
Chili's
tape,
restaurant.
right? The missing tape in all of this.
Right. Right. What people need to know, what we did in this case, Jenna, is we told a story. We started from day one with the emails to the Cops TV show all the way to the end. We provided a context for these tapes, but we were able to argue, where are these audio tapes? And then I asked the jury to make an adverse inference that it might have been exculpatory to her, and that obviously worked.
Sure.
But getting back to your question,
yes.
is look, we don't know what we're going to do right now. I don't think anybody's going to grant that motion if we filed it. What we're doing is we're gearing up for round 3, and we intend on bolstering one of our arguments in this case, and we're looking forward to getting into the end zone and getting a not guilty in this case.
Well, we look forward to talking to you more about it, because I know there's a point in the trial that you thought, I'm not sure if this is going to go our direction. So interesting to see that.
I mean, I wanted to. Yeah,
we're going to have
Jen,
to leave it there,
I do want
Brian.
to share with you. Okay, no problem. No problem. We'll see you soon then.
I look forward to it.
I wanted to tell you a trade secret from the trial, but we'll do it next time.
Well, you can't. Do I have 30 seconds, guys, in the control room? What do I have?
Okay.
They're saying quickly. Go ahead, Brian.
Right.
Tell us the secret.
No, quickly. We were deeply concerned after they put on all the audio tapes. Dahlia and we whispered to each other, do you think this jury is going to hear our argument? I said, we're going to know in 45 minutes after I cross-examine the confidential informant. If this jury is taking notes during those 45 minutes, we got a shot at winning this case.
And they were taking notes.
Pretty dramatic.
Yeah.
Very dramatic. And they were taking notes, and we had a ray of hope. It was very dramatic.
It sounds like it. Brian, we were watching. Thank you very much. We look forward to talking to you more about this case. It has been ongoing, as you heard, 7 years. We'll be back with more happening now in a moment.